at one with the Force.
Hello, welcome to Once the Force, the Star Wars podcast. My name's Phil. Of course, I'm joined as usual by George. We will have Dave soon, I hope at some point. But welcome to our special show with our special guest, Matt. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I suppose it's good evening for you.
Yeah, good evening for me. I'm tired. I'm a sleepy boy. It's 7 p.m. here. What are you doing? You're keeping me up.
It's all right. I was up until 5 in the morning getting everything prepared for this, so yeah, I think I win on that one. But anyway, yes.
I feel
Matt
you, man.
and George, of course, you guys have met each other. George, you know what the drill is. I'll let you kind of lead us through this one.
Yeah, so we're doing a very special video. There's a thumbnail name. There's many names online because I couldn't really get a name for this. But basically, this video is, say they are doing a special edition re-release of the prequels. What changes do we want to make? Now, the first thing I have to make, unfortunately, obviously clear, is that they're not doing it. This isn't real news. This is not even speculation. This is like fantasy booking, if you wanted to say it like that. So please don't think that this is fact. This really isn't as great as it could be. So that's the basis of this video. We've got Matt with us, who is on Blue Bantha Milk Co. If you want to talk about quickly with your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube also. So Phil, I feel your pain, like waking up and doing like the production side of things. Like that's kind of my job. God, isn't it time consuming? But yeah, so YouTube channel from Australia. When I met George, we were just a new, very baby YouTube channel. I think we'd been around for like a couple months or something like that, and then went over to Celebration in Chicago. And yeah, bumped into this fine fellow who just happened to be staying in the same dorm room as myself and another Star Wars guy. And then it was the three of us in one shared dorm, and this one other dude that was like not into Star Wars at all, and we didn't let that dude sleep at all. He got no sleep. That was when they were announcing all the lotteries and the ballots and all that sort of stuff. So it was like, news came out at midnight, and we're just like, hey, are you awake? Yes, we're all awake. Lights and stuff on, and we're just clacking around on keyboards and all that stuff. It was great.
I remember. The lottery system was, without doubt, the greatest scam I ever pulled.
I remember your rant. Oh, no.
Well, so I obviously, you know, the key was you needed to be in groups to get into the big panels, which no one knew until everyone in big groups got into every big panel. So lessons for next time. But I just remember going on Twitter, and this person that I don't know her, but she's in a Facebook group I'm in, and she's Mrs. I have to be the biggest fan in the world at everything. No issue with obviously fans at all, but you know, I've seen this person at premieres, all for attention, all this for attention, everything for likes, and that's just massive rant. Like, how I cannot believe I've flown all the way to Chicago only to get given this rubbish screening room. And I was like, I didn't get into the episode 9 panel or in your screening room, but thank you for tweeting the QR code, because I screenshotted that. I got to that queue early and I got in. And the best thing was, there was someone new in our dorm, and really nice kid. I don't know if you met Darius, but he didn't win anything, but he just tagged along with me because it was the morning, and security just let him in with me, so he got in without even needing a QR code to be scanned. And yeah, I went on her Twitter, and she ended up paying like 150 quid for one on eBay to get into the main panel, which is a lot of money for a free hat.
Yeah.
But no,
it was a nice hat. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, I wouldn't pay 150.
Yeah, you're not put 150 quid for it, no.
But no, that's Celebration was a good time. It was over a year ago.
God, it was, wasn't it?
Unofficially, there is no Celebration this year. We know it's going to officially get moved soon. It needs to be. But
Yeah, that's
good memories. It was a good time.
It was a really good time.
If anyone hasn't seen this video of Matt, I've got to bring this up. Bombadcast did a YouTube reaction viewed by millions, and the main guy, Scott, has an incredible reaction. But the best thing about the entirety of the video is Matt standing next to him chewing gum with his arms folded. And like, I don't know Scott, so I don't want to say anything, but it feels like at times he's trying to get your attention, and you're just there like watching the trailer. Like, it's an amazing video.
So like, there were moments with Scott, I didn't even know it was him. That's the thing. Like, I'd known of them on Twitter, hadn't met them, didn't know him. There's this dude flipping out, and it was hands down one of the best memories that I had. It was like, this dude, you should have seen him. he was so into it. And there's me standing there, and I'm like chewing this gum and getting emotional. So I'm chewing the gum harder, and I'm just like just going. I'm biting the inside of my lip, and it's like, going, don't cry, don't cry. And there's this guy just bawling. He's losing it. And so yeah, it's an odd video. Like watching him, and then you just see me there. I'm like, oh, that was him. So yeah, now we're friends. Now we're friends.
And there's 2 camera angles on you as well, which makes it even better.
I know, it's weird. I'm glad they didn't get me picking my nose or anything like that, because like I like to sneak that in public every now and then, just like the sneaky, like you know, get a flake out or something.
Definitely. So with this one, it's a very I love it. It's good times. So yeah, we're discussing the prequels now. We're gonna kind of. Obviously, we mentioned already, this isn't speculation, this is our own thoughts. These are the special edition original trilogy is obviously the most controversial Star Wars topic, you would think, until the last 5 years, or even until 99 to 05, depending on when people want to choose to forget their memories. And we're gonna, I mean, I've kind of mentioned we'll give our honest, vague thoughts. I've said this many times, so Phil will do this quick. I'm a child of the prequel era. Phantom Menace is the first one I ever saw at the cinema. I adore the trilogy, the perfect age for the trilogy. And with the time, to me, it's got better. I woke up one day and discovered the internet hated it, as did many people. And obviously, we've had the Clone Wars. So my vibes going to it is that I've got almost, I mean, there are issues, but I've got a very different look on the prequels compared to many people. Phil?
Yeah, of course. Because my opinion's been very publicly stated on here before. Of course, I saw the original trilogy when it was the special editions back in '97. When I was 6 years old, so of course I had a couple of years before the prequels came out. Again, perfect age for the prequels. I loved them when they came out. I loved them since, and of course, as I said before on this channel, I've had to actually stand up in front of my entire class at uni and defend my love of the prequels to my lecturer, being publicly called out about it in front of 30, 40 people because he disagreed with my opinion. Yeah, it was a hard time.
Wow.
Yep. It's literally
sounds like a really
uni.
professional lecturer.
Oh, I know. I know. Well, the thing is, I was studying film production, cinematography. I got absolutely slated for my love of it, and I was like, nope, I'm more than happy to stand up here and defend them. So, of course, then moving forward, perfect age for everything. Got to see it all as it came out. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, Matt, you want to talk your first experience with the prequels?
I'm realizing I'm probably a bit older than you guys. So I was. Let me think. Special editions came out, and like that. What year? What was the New Hope? That was 97. So 97, I was 16.
Yeah,
thereabouts when New Hope came out, re-released for that. So I saw the prequels as a young adult. Probably not the target age group. I went through that whole cycle of like kind of going in like people are doing now with the sequel trilogy, going in and coming out going, I had an amazing time, and then getting kind of sucked down a rabbit hole of like, you know, at the time the Star Wars bulletin boards and the force.net and all those things, and like that was my first experience of like internet trolls as well. And you know, that age you don't really care about much, and I'll admit, like I was a bit of a prequel basher, but you know that has well and truly changed, you know, in the last many years. Actually, like it softens, everything softens, even if you're a young angry man and you go, something was made for kids and it's not directly aimed at me, I feel persecuted. Yeah, you get over it, and yeah, now I love them. Like I absolutely love them now, but I understand storytelling a little bit more than I did when I was 20. So
I think as well, the dig I made earlier is definitely not you. It's the prequels were rubbish, and then Episode 7 and Disney came along, and now the prequels are amazing. You're definitely not in that category because I know you're a massive fan of the sequel trilogy.
Oh, I love them.
But there are some territories where it has become that, you know, George Lucas, get out, George Lucas, come back. There is that crowd that does exist,
yeah,
which, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, don't get me wrong, but at times it is frustrating to, you know, like man shouts at clouds, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and how quickly people forget, you know, that's the thing that always sort of gets me, like grates me a little bit. It's like, we've been through this before, and obviously like it's a bit different now with YouTube and Twitter and all this stuff, and like people can monetize this stuff a lot more than they ever could. I just get a little bit confused why people can't see quite obviously you're kind of being played for money. Like people aren't really this angry about it. They're amping it up a bit. But anyway, that's my take on it. So.
Yeah, I mean it's been fun to watch the last few years. As in the three of us, of course, we met at Star Wars Celebration 2016 up in London. We all met up for the first time again at the Rise of Skywalker screening in London last year. Oh, we may have a Dave. So, no, okay. So, of course, it's been interesting when we walked out of that. I was in a completely different space to the other two, and it's kind of been interesting for us all three to sit around and have those discussions and opinions. But yeah, we noticed the bashing over the years, but at the same time, we love having the different opinions here when it comes to it. And the prequels have been no different, whether you've loved them or hated them. People, I'm always happy to debate them, including in front of my entire uni class, if that has been the case. Like, fine, I'll more than happily do that. But yes. Going back to today's subject, so of course, as George stated, there is no special edition that has been announced. This is our pure speculation of what we would like to see if that had been the case. So if Lucasfilm turned around and went, okay, we had the special editions to the original trilogy back in the 90s, now we're going to have the special editions for the prequels. What changes would we have liked to see and why? Matt, I'm going to just let you go first. Throw you at the deep end, talk about episode 1.
Yeah, sure. I guess before I mention the thing that I want to talk about, I'm gonna say I'm all for it. All for it if they were going to do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And this is going back to the whole thing about like growing up with it generationally. Like the idea of specializing the original trilogy was sacrilegious to some people, but I'm noticing as the older dude in a lot of rooms, a lot of people feel the same way about the idea of specializing the prequels. Like, you can't touch the prequels. No, they are what they are in the space and time. And I'm just like, no, I don't think anything's sacred. So dive in there, rip it apart. And my biggest bugbear in the whole thing is Jabba the Hutt. I don't care about the other things like the green screening and the glowing and all the like the edging and all that sort of stuff. I don't care about that. I don't care about the witty performances. None of it. It's Jabba. And actually, it's all the Hutts, because there's Jabba and who's the other Hutt?
Gardula.
Gardula, yeah. And sorry, that's my cat. You'll probably hear my cat meowing a bit. They look categorically horrible to me, no matter what. And like when you think about all the other work that went into some of the other bits in that scene, like, I mean, it's the pod race scene and how amazing the pod race scene holds up today. But it starts off with this flat picture texture over a blob that kind of just moves and rolls. It's very like PlayStation 1 video game graphic sort of texture that moves. And I know at the time that was amazing, but it looks terrible. It just looks terrible. I'd rip that apart. I would replace him with a augmented puppet, like they've done in the sequel trilogy with a lot of things, like the big snake in the Rise of Skywalker. Giant animatronic puppet, textured beautifully, CG to just touch up the bits and make it look perfect.
Yeah, because as a kid, I was 3 when I saw it, so obviously my viewing order is very different to many. My Star Wars experience was episodes 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, and 3. So I've got the new cut that no one's ever done. And it never really hit me till I grew up that, wow, like Jabba the Hutt was this amazing reveal in episode 6. Like, could you imagine her waiting all them years to get the talk of him? And, you know, I never saw the special editions till the DVDs came out when I was 7. I was lucky I had like the VHSs, so I didn't know about any of this stuff. And yeah, like it would have been weird for me at this age to go in like, oh, why is Jabba the Hutt a pod race? Considering the guy that wins it's daughter's going to kill him too, which adds another dimension to it. Like you might have thought, oh, did I remember the name Skywalker? Did someone win that pod race? I can't remember. I was probably, you know,
he was asleep. It's fine.
Yeah, he was bored. Like,
and drunk on frog juice or whatever the hell he's eating.
Just flicking things off of the edge, which is still one of the funniest moments in that film.
I love that scene. It's so unnecessary. It's just like,
but brilliant. I love it. Yep.
And it's because you mentioned to me on chat like, oh, Jabba, I was like, I'm really intrigued to hear this beef because it's, I've heard a lot of criticisms, but I've never heard it, and it's amazing, and I've never really noticed it. I think because so many people focus on the episode 4 scene, the deleted scene added in, I think people don't talk about 1 as much because of 4. I kind of, part of me wants to, I do kind of see it. I think it'd be an interesting change because again, it builds the mythos, and the commentators already say everything there ever has been to say in that race. So why not bin Jabba?
Yeah.
It's like a bit more just make him better, because I do agree with you. It's very much a flat pixelated, well, not even pixelated, but just a flat PlayStation 1 kind of era look.
Yeah.
Yes, at the time it was
no depth to his wrinkles.
No, I mean they were doing trying to do stuff at the time with, of course, with Jar Jar and things like that. They put in Watto. They put in a lot of effort into their characters, and Jabba just doesn't feel they've put in. You can see the money's run out, basically. It's just that it looks like they've got the pod racer around it. That's where the money's run out. You've got a very flat Jabba.
Yeah. And like the flow-on effect of if they did this, and I guess the other thing, my other little beef is like, fix it there, because if you fix it in episode 1, it kind of forces the hand, and you have to fix it in episode 4 as well. Like you can't have episode
can't do one
4
without the other.
Exactly. And I mean, God, it's a whole nother conversation. But I think they should re-specialize the special editions.
I'm with you on that.
Make it all look consistent and be like, yep, cool. Here you go.
As long as they take out Vader's stupid nose from episode 6, I am totally down.
More
with
more nose.
I have major beef with that. I have done for years.
I want him to start whispering no first a lot earlier. I'm like, no. Like I just want a constant stream of repetitive no's that get louder. Kind of like that game, when you go out with your friends and you play the penis game. Did you play that in England?
It was bogeys when we're back at school.
Bogeys was
that game.
Yeah. Just yelling it louder. That's what I want Jabba to do with no. No, get rid of it. Can it? Gone out of it. So yeah,
so much more powerful. It's quiet. Damn it. Yes. It's what I say. Fix Jabba would be nice. George.
I'm going to jump in. Someone mentioned Jar Jar, and here's my time to intervene because I am not going to be an idiot and say remove him because I like Jar Jar. I was the right age. I didn't love him when I was 3. I didn't dislike him. He was like an additional Star Wars character. I've got many bits of Jar Jar merchandise at home because I was going through my garage yesterday, found my old Jar Jar Binks rucksack, which is a sight to behold. And the main thing I noticed, the origin of this video, I got the 4K box set when it released in England because Disney Plus won't do 4K streaming because of the pandemic, cut internet broadband to help people at home across Europe. And the 4K online transition looks awful too. But anyway, I was watching the Phantom Menace, really excited. Day 1, I can't wait to see the prequels. And then it really hit me. The first snip of Jar Jar, full body in the forest when he's turning his head, it hasn't aged well. And when I say that, in 2011 on the Blu-ray, there was like a mini special edition. There was a couple of changes where, they boosted the VFX, and that's the first time to me it's really hit me that, whoa, this film is 20 plus years old. And I just kind of thought that one of the things Lucas did well in the originals, certainly across the Blu-rays, is he kind of gives like an update on the full body stuff because it's motion capture. They've got the finance to do it. It's still an incredible performance. It's like if you look at Lord of the Rings, right? When Gollum's got that shot in the Fellowship, it doesn't look that good. And that's just that. I'm not going to say do a Lord of the Rings special edition, but then you get to Two Towers and it's great because there's, even though it's a 1 year gap, that gap has had, I'm assuming Andy Serkis is the big difference. I don't have the knowledge of Lord of the Rings, so I might be wrong with that. But I feel that one thing they need to do is the full body shots of Jar Jar is just update the CG. Especially when Qui-Gon's running and jumping with him, it stands out so much. Yet, whenever you get a close up, whenever you've got a medium shot, it looks perfect still. It's just the full body environments. And one of my, that was really what spawned this video because I was like, I can't have this. Like, I've waited so long to see these in 4K and what's going on. But that's one. I know it's
new tech doesn't help any of this stuff. I mean, you remember what all this stuff, like the very first version of Jabba in the special edition for A New Hope, what he looked like in the cinema. There was no laser projection. It was all old school. Cinema projection hides a lot of stuff, and I think even with the prequels, as much effort and time went into it. I know there's no record of this, but I strongly suspect that in the film industry as a whole, especially at that time, there was probably a lot of, well, you'll never see it. You know, like you'll never see it on the cinema screen. No one's televisions at home will show it. Like you're only seeing, like there was a big disparity between what a television and a projector could show versus a computer monitor. That's gone now. Like that's absolutely gone now. And 4K just makes it worse.
Yeah, and I think that was the rumor a couple of years back that they'd got the original trilogy 4Ks done like the click of a finger because it was film, it wasn't digital, and digital is a lot harder to upgrade. And I've seen 4 of the 9 so far, and 5. The first 2 original films I've seen are incredible transition wise because it's film. It's easier to upgrade. I'll delve into a little bit more later, but that's a big thing I've got. I'm going to quickly jump in one of Dave's before I forget. He's trying to get online. He's having some issues, but he has asked us to put up one of his points. One of the things he would like to have changed in a Phantom Menace is to have all the droid voices redone by Matt Wood, so they're the exact same as the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's one of my points as well. I want, after watching episode 1 last night, it does jar when you watch the Clone Wars and watch 2 and 3. The voices, I mean, yeah, okay, I understand they are Trade Federation droids versus the Techno Union droids and the Genosian droids, and it kind of, they are a different type of droid, but they're all the same. They'll be ones. By the end of the day, it's kind of, it does jar a little bit, and it's just a weird thing to notice. But when you have been watching Clone Wars a lot, like we have, of course, recently and things, it just feel, I don't know, very stilted, very kind of, they are very wooden compared to what we get the actual personality wise we get out of the B1s later on.
I'm gonna quickly bring up a couple of comments. We've got Catherine Lee in the comments. Jabba needs to be a giant puppet again.
Yes.
Hey, Catherine.
We've also got Hobbit Feet Andy, which is incredible. I just realized you weren't talking about Vader's nose.
No, not that nose. That nose is fine.
That's incredible. It's hard to jump back.
That's really good.
Yes.
Phil, do you have one of your Phantom Menace ones?
Yeah, so for me, again, so another voice one, funny enough, but it's a rather simple one. So as well as bringing the droids, kind of bring them in line with everything else, I really would have wanted them to get Sam Witwer to re-record the lines for Darth Maul in episode 1, because you have Peter Serafinowicz doing the lines there. Again, when you have Sam Witwer come back to do the voice for Maul in Solo, and of course he's in throughout Rebels and Clone Wars. Again, it just jars slightly, especially since he was brought back to do Maul in Solo. Why not just go back and... It's only 2 lines. Just bring them to come back and do it for this.
Yeah.
I'm in the exact same... This was actually next on my list. So I adore Sam Witwer. I think he's an absolute honor that he is involved in Star Wars. Someone that's such a massive fan, as well as an incredible voice actor. Yeah, like I noticed this because I love Peter Serafinowicz. I think he's very good at comedy. He's a very good. If anyone's ever seen his Sassy Trump videos, they're worth watching. And when that Maul scene happens in Solo, obviously I didn't clock on for the first few seconds it was Maul. Although it was Sam Witwer, I was expecting that hologram of Jabba the Hutt or something, because it was like, oh, we deal with someone bigger. Did not expect
Crime Lords.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, Maul, this is incredible. And then I was like, Sam Witwer, not Peter Serafinowicz. And this kind of dawned on me more and more that the choice, it was a clear choice to bring him back for Solo. I think they had Peter Serafinowicz in to do the lines, but they picked Witwer's. The fact that Witwer's done it in the animated shows, he's done it in Battlefront 2. He's become Maul itself, and it's the other thing. It's only 2 lines of dialogue. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the cat for those listening on audio. I think it's a change that, you know, I kind of feel bad that they'd be scrubbing him out, similar to people do complain in the originals that you made Tamura Morrison the voice of Boba Fett, which I guess is going to crop up a bit more now in recent news. But this is something I'm for, because although, like, yeah, Boba Fett had a different voice, do I prefer the New Zealand voice? It just sounds so much better. And not to be one of them like continuity is important, because it kind of is. I think logistically, the conscious choice of making Whitworth the voice in the second live action Maul scene, I mean, he had more lines than him after like 5 seconds of talking. I think he has more lines before you even see his face. That's one that I kind of hadn't. I didn't think I'd say that, but the more this special edition prequel stuff came up, the more it's kind of like, they need to get it done. Like it's like Blade Runner, have your final cut across 6 films.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I think Solo set the precedent, right? Like if they didn't bring Whitwer in for Solo, then I think you could just as easily argue that no, there's a line. It's like, yep, no, the animated series, no, that different voice actors, that just is what it is. And if you happen to get an original actor doing a voice for the animated show, well, that's a treat, like. But forget about it. But yeah, once it makes that crossover in that direction, like you're absolutely setting a precedent then, and you're saying, nope, it is. It is. That is. It can happen, and that is Maul. And all the behind the scenes stuff, all the interviews, they've all said it. They were like, yeah, it just made sense to have Whitworth do it.
Yeah.
At this point, he's played more Maul. Yeah, he's more Maul than any Maul has ever mauled. So
yeah.
Maul.
And it also brings us point on that when you have it going back the other way, when you actually have Ray Park coming to do the mocap, and they have, even though Satan got finally the body of Maul and the voice of Maul together, when you have Sam Witwer and Ray Park, and so they even state it on their own social media that it's the body and voice of Maul. Yeah, okay, at this point it just makes sense to go back and do it. It's not a huge amount of effort either. You can do it from home. It's like take it 20 minutes, you're done. That just kind of fixes it.
Yeah, he's been on Twitch commentating as Maul while killing people on Battlefront. Like, that's incredible. Wow, not to bring up the typical people, but he was playing. EA gave him this Maul skin on Battlefront that you need 5,000 kills with, that no one's going to get in a human time. And he tweeted like, "I'm the voice of Maul. Can I have it?" And they gave it to him. So he was playing online, and it's only about like a day. And some guy messaged him like, "You suck as Maul," as in playing the game. Yeah. And then Sam Witwer replied like, "Bro, I'm the voice of Maul. You're on Twitch."
Oh, we have a Dave, I think.
Oh, we got Dave.
Dave?
He hasn't got an audio.
We're closer.
I think we can't hear him.
Until he cuts in, we'll continue talking, but I'm sure he'll join us at some point. Oh, yeah.
Bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave. Technical glitch after technical glitch. It's fine. He'll join us at some point, I suppose. But yeah, again, that's my point on that one. That it's very simple, a very simple fix, but will just help kind of bring kind of everything back into line. The other thing, okay, when we talk about making Jabba back into a puppet, the one thing I personally want to see is Yoda go back to being a puppet.
No.
I much prefer that. I know that's a controversial one, but I much prefer Puppet Yoda in episode 1.
My issue with this is Puppet Yoda looked wrong in episode 1. Like, I wasn't on episode 5 until I grew older, because it went over my head about how actually important it is. But Puppet Yoda in episode 1 was creepy, man. Like, the wrinkles in his head were too big, and he never looked right.
Sideburns kind of looking guy.
Yeah, and I was there like, he's only really like 30 years younger than episode 5, and they've gone for something else. And to me, one of the best changes in Star Wars is to CGI him in episode 1. Because of episode 2 and 3, it's kind of, here is prequel Yoda, because the puppet was just too much. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't complain if the puppet looked like it did in the originals and in episode 8. I'd be like, yeah, don't get rid of that puppet. But that puppet has terrified me, and it's a big thing that I think the CG version has ended up improving Yoda. I'm not going to say that for any other trilogy, but definitely for the prequels.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, George. Like, the puppet Yoda, something about his eyes as well. Like, there's something really droopy and kind of, he looks like a weird stoner version of Yoda. Like, he looks like a total burnout. It doesn't look, he's not the Yoda that I kind of was expecting. And then the CG Yoda, it actually did improve. It really did. But that said, if they could do that same Dooku fight with a puppet, I would pay good money to see the behind the scenes of these dudes with the sticks. It's like, like that.
It'll probably have to wire work to get that done.
You've got like Frank Oz in the green suit that Brian Herring wears for BB-8, and Frank Oz is just like jumping on the walls of the sets.
Give me that. Give me that now.
I mean, it would be great to see, but yeah, it's just. I know that's for me, definitely, I know it's a controversial opinion. A lot of people do prefer the CG version. Can't bring it line, as you said, that prequel version of Yoda. I just liked the puppet. Again, yeah, okay, the eyes were creepy. At the same time, that's what kind of endeared him to me. Was just this very odd looking puppet that really wasn't Yoda. At the same time, was I just like, yeah, I it's a simple one, but I don't think they would do it. But again, this is our what would we like to see in the video, not what they actually are doing. Yeah. So for me personally, it's just very simple. I would love the puppet to come back, but I've been all for the practical effects, especially since they brought back more and more for episodes 7, 8, and 9, and Rogue One and Solo. The more practical, the more I go, yes, I want the puppet back. But
you got Disney Gallery? Has that been released over there yet?
Yeah. They finally updated England, so they only had to wait 8 months for Mandalorian.
Global.
Yeah, the ending of episode 2.
Did you see the new episode of Disney Gallery last night? Yeah,
I haven't. The other two have.
The Dave Filoni the monologue.
The monologue's great, but the factoid that they say in it, that still, even after episode 9, that episode 1 is still the one with the most practical puppetry or model making and all that stuff out of the whole lot. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty amazing.
The amount of sets they built as model works, especially, is just incredible.
I think Phantom Menace is I don't want to say it is the best looking of the prequels. The combination of CG with sets. Then obviously we'll get to episode 2 in a bit, but Phantom Menace I think is beautiful. The locations they picked as well, like they really went for it.
Yeah.
You know, if anyone's seen the amazing behind the scenes documentary, and not to sort of like not sort of well, I can't say we're but sort of dig on it, but the moment in which they watch it for the first time in Lucas's private theater is one of the most, how on earth did they let this go in the final cut scenes I've ever seen, when all their heads just drop. And I like Phantom Menace, but it's really sad. It's George Lucas's did I do too much? Just an immortal line. It's ambitious, and that's the thing. It's one of the most ambitious films, and that's only growing, in my opinion, with time. But
Lucas pushed the technology as much as he could for episode 1, then further in 2, further in 3, and it's kind of continued. The theme has continued with 7, 8, 9, but they've now pushed it with the practical effects as well. I mean, when you come to watch The Mandalorian, when you watch the gallery, for those you haven't seen it, I urge you to go and watch it. If you hadn't seen any of the behind-the-scenes photo of it, the screens they were using, you wouldn't know until you watch that gallery and see it. The amount of it's incredible. I am lost for words with how they're able to go, here's a screen, we're going to project onto that everything you want to see in the background and make a seamless almost 360 degree set without even going anywhere. The fact that what I love is when you have the camera side on, you have this screen on one side, so it looks like you're in the desert, and the other side is literally just studio, and it just looks like those two photos just literally put side by side, when you know that's not the case. And I do think if they'd done episodes 1, 2, and 3 now with the technology they have for using the Mandalorian, just think how awesome it would look.
I think that's why Lucas was on set so much. You can tell that he enjoyed being on set. And the other thing, like, not to slate on the sequels, he didn't go on the sequel set. That's the difference between filming in his doorstep in LA against filming in London. Because if he's got a day off, he can't really. I'm going to fly to London for a day. I was like, no, that's not how it works. he's got the money to, but he's not going to.
Jet setter.
Matt, do you have any Phantom Menace changes?
No, like everything else in it, like I think the space battles look pretty amazing. The grass battle, like the Gungans meeting the droid, that needs a bit of an update. It's too bright, too lacking in terms of like detail and shading and stuff. The grass looks great, but the grass is all like, feels like it's just too brightly lit, and everything on it is almost too clean and too round. There's no grit for an outdoor scene. I'd update the hell out of that.
my final one matches yours. There's something that's really like got on my head for the last sort of 9 years. The Gungans in this scene, particularly when Jar Jar's dangling off the tank, every single Gungan has the same animation run, and it's something that you can never ever unsee once you see
as
it.
soon as you notice it, it's there.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like again, I guess it's what it was in '99, but if they could just chuck a guy in a studio, run, have a few different running mechas, it's kind of funny, but again, it's a pointless, needy OCD thing. Is like, wow, look at how 100 of them run together, and they're like doing different directions. It's really funny to look back on again. That's the product of 1999, not 2020. But that's the kind of last thing I had with Phantom Menace.
Indeed,
it's amazing. Like it doesn't come. Oh, sorry, Phil. I was going to say,
go for it. Go for it.
It's not much further. Like after that, and like Fellowship of the Ring and all of that stuff, and that big kind of breakthrough they had with like crowd generation and whatnot. That doesn't take much time, but God, it makes a big difference when it does finally break. Yeah,
and I don't think if they did it today, it would take them effort, but I don't think it would take a huge amount of money to update. It's simple. And I know what you mean about the graphs. It just looks too green. It's that little bit too perfect.
Everything's too perfect. The orbs that the Gungans fire, they are perfect 3D rendered orbs.
On the counter side, though, I love the way the tanks look. Though the tanks were models, of course, they look fantastic. If you could update the grass underneath them to make it just blend in, it would be incredible. I mean, imagine
and the sky and dirt and particle effects and stuff like that. Just foreground and smudging and just things that are missing that makes it look like it's part of the world.
Things that are commonplace today that would just improve it. It's one of those things when it comes to this is what we'd like to see in a special editions version. This is not us changing the films from page one. This is just little pieces we would like to see, and it's one of those things with the animation and CG. It's very easy to look back now and go back on it, and there's something in episode 2 that in a minute I'm going to talk about that if you could change it would just make the world difference to a particular scene. But little bits here and there. So we are going to jump on to episode 2, and again, Matt, I'm going to chuck you right in the deep end and make you go first.
Okay, episode 2. I would add more hair to Dex's butt crack. Definitely more hair. Episode 2 is. I find that a little bit of a tough one. It might actually be some of the Naboo stuff. Like, you've obviously got these great real locations, but then there's that scene where Anakin's riding the weird ticks. He's like surfing the bug or whatever it is. And, oh, God, no comment on the actual scene itself, but like just the way he's standing on it and the depth and everything, it doesn't look right. It looks weird. It looks like something I would do on like with weird masking and just be like, yeah, there we go. He's kind of on it. It's quick. It's done in a second, but God, I notice it every time. Change that.
Yeah, you can't help but notice. I mean, for me to continue on with that with episode 2, when it comes to Naboo, the one scene that I would have to change would be that stupid 3D pear, that stupid CG pear that she takes a bite out of, the bite's gone before she. That's the one thing. Reshoot that with a practical effect, or just put today's CGI on it, just improve it, because the way the pear moves, the way it's just stuck on the end of the fork, the way it's one of those scenes I cannot watch it and just not be taken out by a stupid pear. I cannot do it. It's so infuriating to watch.
Have you seen the Corridor crew reaction to the Star Wars prequels? Have you seen that? Yeah, they do a bit, and they talk about the pear scene and how like everything else in that scene is amazing, because like there's clear glass bottles on the table, and they talk about how difficult that would have been to do back then, because the camera goes past and it's got like the refraction around the glass and the distortion and the transparency. Like that would have been incredibly difficult to do, because there's blue behind, like there's screening, there's all this stuff. But then, the pear floats, and it just sort of, and they like every time I see it now, I hear the sound effect. They do like a gobble sound, like and it's just I hear it now. They those guys.
I'm
Really
going to join
good.
in with Naboo. So I delved into the Attack of the Clones deleted scenes, which I've not seen in around 10 years. All on Disney Plus, which was a nice addition. There's some of Naboo, and it's more again like when he gets to the funeral scene in Episode 3. If you don't know it's a family, you don't know. They're just people there you assume are her relatives. And there's a deleted scene where it's like Anakin meeting her family, and it's strange because it's a very typical George Lucas written scene where you've got this like this setup. You meet a family, this, and then you just get is my daughter in danger? Yes, and it's the I love Hayden, and it's this really awkward family meal. And Anakin's like, yes, she's in danger. She kind of looks like, bro, I'm with my family. Like, I would add that in because it just adds a bit of dimension to her. Like, I love Natalie Portman. I like the character of Padme. I just we have enough for her death, but you don't get the impact. I think that'd have a little bit more on the Naboo funeral scene. And there's a scene after that I kind of want to put in. It's not like a particularly great scene. It's Padme's mom. Like, you've never brought home a boy before. And it's she's like, he's not my boyfriend. We're just, he's on a mission to help me. And it's kind of like wink, wink. And then it cuts to Anakin in the garden, and he's talking to her dad, and her dad's like, so how in danger is my daughter? And Anakin's like, they've already tried to assassinate her twice. So it's, it's a scene that, it's very wobbly. It's very typical of Attack the Clones, but there's a special place for it. Now I've seen it, and I think it adds that family dimension because there'd be this brilliant meme of Anakin saying how much she's in danger, how much they tried to kill her, and then you can just cut to the funeral scene of her dad looking really sad. Like, obviously, it's a sad moment, but you can have the thought of Anakin saying there's already been 2 attempts on her life.
It's really nice when you go into. Hi everyone, just let you know I'm here.
Hey Dave.
It's really hey everyone.
It's working. It's working.
I know. I missed episode 1, but that's fine. I'll grab into episode 2. It's really nice when you can have someone tell you your daughter's being assassinated in a lovely family setting surrounding. But I think I know the scene you talk about, the deleted scene. It looks like it's been shot in someone's literal back garden, but it's like anyway exotic. It just looks like they were doing a test, and it just like it looks so terrible that this is done on someone's family camera, and they captured him going, try to be assassinated twice. Like, I'm going to put the camera down. It's
very much
the usual. University, like.
It's very much the usual George Lucas. You can write this shit, but can you say it? Yeah, it's very much that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the scene starts off with Anakin and him walking. It's like, oh yeah, she's a teacher at the local university. So they're like, wow, like we haven't really had education in Star Wars. Can you imagine people moaning if they dropped the word university? But that's one thing I had. It just adds a bit more of a layer to Pat. Like I said, it's not a good scene. I was going over all the scenes that there's nothing I'd really take out. Like, and that was one like, I'd add that in. It would just add to the fear from the people that don't like it. It's important, but it's kind of bad. But
I wouldn't take out the pair. I would just change it to make it not so infuriating. It's my favorite scene from the film purely because it's my least favorite scene. If you know what I mean, it's that it's coming up. You have to watch it. I cannot unsee this moment of just I'm going to take a bite of the pear that disappears before I can bite it, and I will keep ranting forever about that particular scene just purely because that pear is so infuriating. It's so good. But Dave, since you are back, let's chuck you in the deep end now.
We're on to episode 2. The one thing that I would love to add is back with the Jocasta Nu meeting. I'd love to get that back. A bit more background on Dooku. I think was sorely missing from him just being. Yeah, he was a Jedi. Mace Windu mentioned at the start he was a Jedi. He couldn't assassinate anybody. Couldn't kill anybody. Like, oh, come on, Mace. Yeah. Oh, Mace Windu. Totally take Mace Windu out of the films. Like in episode 1 when he comes down the ramp and it's not him. Yeah, I'd just love some more background on his actual character. I think it's nice to have that. He was so well thought of and renowned that they sculpted a whole bust of him to show that he was one of the Jedi who's left the Order but was so important to that Order. I just think it builds so much more character than him just being the Separatist leader. Yeah, that's the one I would really add back in.
Yeah, I'm with you. That was on my list. It's so amazing. It's just a gigantic sculpture of like Christopher Lee in this Jedi library, and I've kind of got this vision where like let's not just have this scene. I don't think we can get Jocasta Nu back, but there could be like a post-credit scene, like it's sort of like this isn't genuine, but I could imagine some like, not Family Guy, was it Robot Chicken, where it cuts to like after the Battle of Geonosis, where the janitor's like getting rid of the Dooku sculpture like as quickly as he can.
This doesn't need to be here anymore. It's fine. Just go. So let's put Qui-Gon up. There you go. There's a Jedi.
A little bag over its head or something like that. Out of order.
Just glasses and a false nose and a mustache, so it doesn't look like him quite. There we go. That's, that was Barry the Jedi.
Yeah.
We lost that's fine. Lost Dooku. That's also fine. He's gone now. So you like to change things in the outfits. Yep, gone. Oh. So that's very much. Was there a bust hit? No. Don't know what you're talking about. No.
What I would love to do as well, if I could go back to this film, Ian McDermott's appearance in this movie, it's like when they started the film, they were going to go, well, he's going to turn the Emperor, so we'll naturally age his makeup up. And it's really heavily done that they're going to start making him look more Emperor-ish.
Those 10 years look very hard on him.
Yeah, because in episode 3, it goes back to sort of a normal makeup again on him, so it stands out. I watched it last night, and it stands out massively that they aged him up so much and so heavily. It just, and who knows what they do with CG, but I'd love them to de-age the makeup with the Marvel de-aging software just in there, just to take it back a step. It just went so far with it. It's like, oh, it doesn't look right now when I watch it in order.
It's just like Beauty Plus put on, like, you know, give him big smooth eyes, big lips. Nice. Make him pretty.
Lovely, like a Snapchat filter for the whole thing. Just
I would love to see that. There's all sorts of like real time waster kind of things that I would really like someone to waste their time by doing it, as long as it's not me. Just I want that filter on every single person. That would be amazing.
Oh, hats and glasses and face. Oh, it'd be amazing.
It's like 66 would never be the same again.
He descended to the throne, and then he's like, "Oh, I've got to wait another 10 years." Like, the bit that's took its toll. It's the waiting. He's there like, when can I start the Clone Wars? Like that was probably him for 10 years in power. Like, oh God, I've got to do like politics. Like, it's not going to get interesting for a while. When are the clones aging up?
That's not part of my plan. So those 10 years just do, again, I agree with you, look very, very hard on him. And yeah, so I'm going to move on to episode 3.
Oh no, I've got
go for it.
2 more very quick ones. So
go for it.
The Clone Wars has kind of changed how I viewed some of this stuff. Certainly more for episode 3, but there's the scene of Dooku and Padme after they imprison her. And it's really strange because you wouldn't think she's a prisoner. It looks more like she's sat down for genuine
interrogation scene. Yes, yeah.
It's not even really an interrogation scene. It's kind of her trying to make a deal with Dooku, and Dooku's like, you know, if you join the Separatist Allegiance, we will help you out. We can let you go. And it's this, you know, it's like 1 minute long, but it's purely Republic versus Separatists. And you know, we did not need that 18 years ago, but now we've had the Clone Wars. I've got a completely different viewpoint, especially on Dooku, that, yes, he's an idiot for believing the Emperor, but, you know, this guy that's going to appeal to this mass amount, you know, add in the scene earlier, he'd already mentioned he was dismayed of the Jedi like Qui-Gon, and this just added another layer to the whole, he's playing all of you Separatist idiots. And I thought... You know, I wouldn't have wanted that when I was younger, but now we've had the Clone Wars, and some of the best Clone War arcs have been the politic ones.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I just think that's, people, we don't need more politics in Star Wars. Unfortunately, you do when they're transitioning from a republic to an empire, because you can't click your fingers and say they've had a power shift. You need it, and that's the, I want to say sad reality, but because I quite like politics in real life, I've never really had that effect. But, it's 1 minute. It's kind of silly because you're not going to let your prisoner sit down and have a nice chat at a table. But at the same time, it's, you know, Dooku playing his join us. You know, we're really good. But
that would be a really good scene to add in. Really good scene.
Any of you add Ahsoka anywhere into episode 2? Background at all?
Not for episode 2. We'll save it for the Clone Wars film, right? Someone's mentioned it before with Yoda's Padawans. I think it'd be too much for this film. it's a bit on. I'll save it for when we talk about Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I think if it was going to go anywhere, Yoda's Padawans, like, or just maybe as a background character. Like, I'm all for little Easter eggs like that. Like, it doesn't hurt anything as long as it's not like, hey, well, we've just got this new scene and all.
Yeah,
of a sudden
it's very much like the
Ahsoka,
Caleb
go to the
Doom.
library.
Yeah. No, it's very much like, I like if it's background like the Caleb Doom cameo you get in the last arc of the Clone Wars. Like he literally just a little bit done, doesn't even say a word. It's just you just notice that would be okay with that.
It's like the deleted scene I despise from the Phantom Menace is like Anakin fighting Greedo. And then it's Qui-Gon's disapproving comments, and then like Warwick Davis is there like, you'll get what's coming to you one day, and you're there like, thank God that didn't make it into the final cut. Like, could you?
It would be the most McClunky scene to add in.
People already think that people already think like the chubby one's younger Greedo. Like, no, it's the same species, but there genuinely wasn't Greedo, and I do like that Anakin's just like beating him up as well.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, like, you know, where does 9-year-old Anakin like get that temper from? Like, yes, we know he's going to be Darth Vader, but beating up a kid because he said he cheated is the most Anakin thing you can actually think of. But, that was my kind of final Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, the other thing I will put in for Attack of the Clones is when Anakin's going out to find his mother, and you're going through the desert on Tatooine, and of course, by the time he gets to the Tusken Raider camp. All those scenes I would update with the CGI, because it's the more I watch episode 2, the more, especially with on the speeder, the more I just notice he's on a green screen because the background is so it's so out of date. I would bring that up to par as well, and especially then when you also get to the camp itself. He's on the cliff, and you can very much see that they've just imposed the camp. They've shot the camp, and then imposed it on top of this this background, and you can. It's not quite got a full Halo effect, but you can tell where they put it in. And I would just kind of bring that up to par, I think.
We are spoiled with where technology's got to.
Yeah.
You look at The Mandalorian and how they do that, and you think if they had this technology at that point, they would look incredible and lifelike. I mean, I had no idea when you see that in The Mandalorian, how they did it with the massive screens. Like, I had no idea they weren't on sets. Like, in places, it was just that level of...
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Well, so I mentioned that.
So that revelation.
Yeah, I would bring it up to par for that. But yeah, we are spoiled, and of course, when you watch it, because I was watching it last night when you were doing your show about, I was just finishing watching episode 1, going to episode 2, as I was doing trying to finish up my research. And it was just one of those scenes that stood up by a mile. It's not an obvious scene, but when you are focused on music and sound, and you've just got a visual, it just stands out because there's nothing to distract you. You've just got Anakin on a speeder and then him looking at the campsite, and it just needs bringing up. Coruscant again is a bit the same because it's very flat. If you look at when they're in the Jedi Temple, you just look across Coruscant, it's very much, here are blocks of 4x4 pieces that are just it just needs that little bit of updating to bring it on par. So again, this being special editions, not a redo. All you'd have to do is update the technology, and I think it would just bring that world level up a little bit to then kind of bring it in line with the storytelling.
Would you guys take?
Oh, George's frozen. It's not you, Dave.
No,
it's not me. I know how amazing is that I haven't brought the technology. That was George disappearing on us, so it's nice to not be the one causing problems.
I think because so could you imagine? You mentioned Tusken Raiders. George Lucas loved poetry. It rhymes. Now this is awful taste, but could you imagine if you changed the Anakin scene where instead of chopping off the heads of Tusken Raiders, he goes into a tent and there is a young boy Tusken Raider, and in garbled Tusken Raider shouting, it says, "There are too many of them. What are we going to do?" but you don't get the pity. You just have weird Tusken Raider sounds and like subtitles.
Yeah,
because until he starts shouting it to Padme, like. You don't really know. It wasn't just the men, the women, and the children too.
Yep.
That's like
It's brutal. You don't need that. It's brutal, but at the same time, yes, I need that. Now I know it's not there. I want that in there just to be extra level.
Weird. Like when I had my Attack of the Clones figures as a kid, you had like the Tusken Raider dogs. I had the Tusken Raider like women with the weird like face masks, and it was like, don't get me wrong, I love the merchandise, but it was such a strange design. But there are already too many Tusken Raiders across Star Wars as an era, I feel. But I do love that scene. Not
Yeah,
my
but you also hated the Jawas and
I still
the
do.
Mandalorian.
I've never. I've
them.
never just liked the Jawas as general, not because of Mandalorian, not because of Abuse. Just they've never really done anything for me. Like you know, when you not dislike them because they're annoying. I just dislike them. Like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like there's too many of them. It's just that like you're not my kind of thing. Like I get it, but when I'm at
Sounds a
convention,
little bit racist towards Jawas, to be totally honest with
It
you.
is a little.
Yeah. So what we're saying is George is a monster. Is that it? Like George is a monster.
first he
And
wants
needs
to
to be
kill the
stopped.
children, now he wants to kill the small one.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, without getting off too much of a tangent, because I could do like convention of the Builders Club, like we always get the costumers with us, and like all the Jawas turn up, and they're like, I cannot be asked for your slapstick comedy, so I just tend to walk off and just like go find stands to buy things because I just can't be bothered to deal with them.
Whereas I love them.
People love them. That's the people love them. It's me. It's not their rubbish. It's me. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
As long as they're not dipping their hands into disgusting eggs, I'm okay with them.
You know,
Sorry,
I don't want to
man,
derail
I've triggered
the topic, but no, I don't like that scene. There's something about it
Disgusting.
that, like, it's funny. Like I laughed a lot, but I think it was we watched it and it was just coming off the back of finishing Jedi Fallen Order, and I had a big complaint about that. That so much of the game is focused around just killing animals. And I'm just like, that doesn't really seem like a very Jedi thing to do. And, you know, like, so that all happened, and then watched that episode. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So this episode is about learning a lesson where he has to go into this home of an animal that's minding its own business and kill it so that the Jawas can have a cream egg. Like, and I know there's symbolism and all this stuff behind it, and I get it. I get the trials and slaying the dragons and all that. I get it. But I'm kind of at that point as well where I'm just a bit over the whole slay the dragon thing. It's like the dragon's minding its own goddamn business. The dragon's trying to raise its egg so that it can have a baby. Leave the dragon alone.
But disintegrating Jawas is just funny.
That bit was great. Like, as someone that never liked the scene, I know we're off point, but that one where it doesn't know where he is and it's just shooting everywhere, and it's like, your time is up. Yeah, what a satisfying moment. The best thing is that episode aired the day before I was at a big Comic Con, so all the Jawas were dressed up. I was like, I saw you all perish yesterday. Legally, I didn't obviously torrent it. I clearly flew to America and flew home. We don't condone that, but yeah.
Can I just have one more sort of episode 2 thing that I would add? If we were going to do the speeder chase between Zam and Anakin, I despise anyway. It's overly long and just get to the ground already. But when they do get to the ground, I would love them to go through one of the sinkholes that you see now in Clone Wars for them to get to the lower levels and not just the floor. Like, I'd like to see them actually go through one of those rather than just they're flying, they're down on the ground, they're done. Because we're now kind of, especially because the game 1313 that was cancelled was kind of around that sort of same area. I would like to have seen that just added in, just so that's where they move into for the whole thing rather than they're around General Coruscant. I think it would be a nice touch to add that in just for continuity of the way they show the underworld of Coruscant now.
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice, and it would be a difficult thing to do, but I would also like to see it. I think it'd be nice to issue.
Yeah, I agree.
But yes, that's episode 2. So we move finally on to episode 3. And Matt, I think you know what's coming. I'm going to jump in the deep end. First up,
okay. That's the hardest one because I think of like everything in it. It's the best looking. It's CG is kind of like the most refined. There's not really much going on where I would update it. Maybe there's like a couple of other little things, like there's I think some hallway walking shots maybe in the Jedi Temple that look a little bit janky, like the lighting's a little bit weird. So that the crash landing of the ship onto Coruscant, like as it does that one where it's like, and then the camera pulls right in. I'd maybe update that a little bit, but like we're like at that point, it's not like other stuff where it's been like a big standout thing. I'm not gonna be like the Jabba thing. There's nothing like that in episode 3 for me. It's all tiny little nitpicks. Yeah, sorry, I haven't got anything very solid for episode 3 other than those little tiny things.
I'm in a similar category. I think I know what Phil's going to say, so I might jump in first. There's once I don't mind the CGI clone troopers. I know that we've had this discussion.
I haven't put that in for a very good reason, because you all know my rant.
I just feel that I really struggle on the scenes where like Cody gives Obi-Wan the lightsaber. The CGI is so jarring on the head. It looks like he's wearing like Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, where like there's just that head.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah.
I just wish they could kind of refine that, because and this kind of leads on to my second point, where Tamura Morrison, I've written this before last night, so this is not because of what I've just seen on the news today. I feel like he is someone that could come in and reshoot a couple of scenes. And when I say reshoot a couple of scenes, I'm not saying let's have him do 10 minutes of dialogue, do 30 clones. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the briefing when you've got Windu, Yoda, Kelly Ada Secura, Cody. If you could just have a hologram of Rex, doesn't need to speak, doesn't need to do anything, but a hologram of Rex.
Because it adds
there you have
yeah.
You can have him turn away, to walk away as it begins. If it's a second, 2 seconds, but so you know that boom, Siege of Mandalore, no Ahsoka, no nothing. You've just got Tamura Morrison who could do it. Put your armor on it, whatever you want. I feel that's something that, especially after recent events, would be really nice. This here's us referencing the Siege of Mandalore, but not sitting here telling you about Darth Maul. You don't need to get your A-listers in to reform anything. It's a very subtle reference that just ties it in a very nice, neat little bow. And
good. Yeah,
maybe as well chucking in, if they wanted to have like some Tamura Morrison, like put him in his studio, put some different hair colors on him, some tattoos. If you wanted to update the clones, chucking like the personalization on they do. Again, it wouldn't cost much. You could have this animators doing it, but because one thing I love about Clone Wars is I know one of the overall themes is these aren't a faceless army, these are people. The thing I thought I would hate when I first watched Clone Wars, which I ended up loving, was they all had different personalities, and that came in their appearances, their haircuts, the tattoos, and everything. So just chuck him in. Like how EA put people in studios, we're going to face scan you for a FIFA game. You can just do that to Tamura Morrison. Do what you need to do with him, and let's pray that he's not Boba Fett. If he is just the voice. But that's a discussion.
No, bring his Rex. That's a definitely different conversation for a different time. Yes, it's very famous on here. Once the Force, you all know my rant with clone troopers on here when it comes to the prequel trilogy. I want proper clone armor. I want live action clones. I don't want CG clones that just look terrible. I didn't include this in my notes purely because the way I was looking at this as a special edition, not a redo or what else I do. And that for me is one change that would be a little bit too much to do in a special edition format. The one thing I'm going to bring up first of all for me is Shakti. Now, especially that she's been referenced in the Siege of Mandalore, I want Shakti's death to be put back into the film. You'd have to edit it slightly to make sure that it all works, but I want her death to be included. Then it really does link up the Siege of Mandalore as well.
Which, Grievous or Anakin for killing her? Which one would you go with? Because I thought about this. Because I watched the scene last night. The problem is it's Grievous. It's basically, how Jabba the Hutt in episode 4's deleted scene. Like, it's a new scene, but it's telling you the cantina scene.
Yeah,
I was all down for it because of Clone Wars, and then it's like here's Grievous meeting Anakin and doing his introductions. Like,
that's why I said you'd have to edit it slightly. Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is get Matt Wood to do Grievous's voice. You just change what Grievous says, and it works. But it's or you could change some. There are some bits you can change here and there to make it work better. But I just think, especially with the Siege of Mandalore now as well, with them saying, Shakti's gone to protect the Chancellor. Well, where is Shakti now? It's kind of a very glaringly obvious omission.
Yeah. Good spot. So
this is one of the things we personally
change. I think just for I think it is needed now. I think more than because I guess it's difficult still because a lot of people, although we would love to see these, and we're into Star Wars in all the big ways where we watch everything. Still, some people will only watch these movies and not go back to them. The Rex thing, I think, fits really well because it's just another clone trooper, and that even if you're watching the movies, you don't then have to go, well, who's that guy and what's his background and why is he now in that? You just see a general in the Clone Wars, and that's great. The Shaq T thing would be a nice addition, but I think it's more for us in the Clone Wars side who've now heard the announcement when Obi-Wan and Anakin get pulled away that Shaq T's looking after the Chancellor. So whether that's then maybe a tiny step that we don't need, but I get it. It would be a nice addition still, but I would like to see Grievous doing her away. I don't think we need to do Anakin. One thing I think we need to do away with in Episode 3 is the CGI R2, which just honestly, it's so that whole scene when they're inside the hangar at the beginning.
Hangar.
Yeah.
And they fly into
You don't like it?
the ship. No, oh god, R2 burning the fuel and hiding and bringing out the walkie-talkie. Just not a CG. It just stands out so far as not being an actual droid in that room. It really just annoys me.
Yeah, you can update the hell out of it, but I want to keep it.
I want a whole montage, like a Rocky training montage, but I just want an R2 spraying oil, burning droids montage.
Yeah,
it's like R2, what's he doing? He's just there, just like. Yeah.
I mean, to go along with that, again, I didn't include it because it's too much for a special edition, but I would want the droids to be brought up to date as well, visually as well, because when you have the Mandalorian Super Battle droids alongside the film Super Battle droids, the Mandalorian ones look so much more badass. They just look so much cooler, and it just doesn't work as well.
The Super Battle droids having such a good legacy because they're these intimidating, incredible designs in Episode 2, and then in 3 they're kind of pointless, and then in Clone Wars it's kind of like the B1s were like, they're rubbish, they'll die quickly, and then Clone Wars makes the Super Battle droids like, you're not really super, you're just a different design and you will die quickly. And then you get to Battlefront 2 where like the monsters they were in Attack of the Clones. I don't really mind it. The R2 thing's interesting because I don't think that'd be too hard. I mean, you can't really get rid of the oil stuff, but for the shots where he's...
No, you just bring it up to date.
Yeah, but not even that. Like, you could literally just chuck the droids they use at Pinewood in the green screen room and just key it in. If you can match the shots with the camera, that's actually a lot easier than you think.
It would be great.
Because that's one thing like I do struggle with is that it's so glaringly obvious that it's CGRT. The flying people have their opinions on. But
I mean, to be fair, if we're going to do that, we might as well do that for Episode 2 as well. We have them flying.
Yeah, just like the shots you can do. Not obviously you can't build a flying R2D2. Someone I know probably would have done it by now.
Yeah,
but I think that would be an incredible health and safety hazard of like a 20-kilo droid just falling.
Jeez.
But
before you fly, if you could just read this. Hang on.
Hard hats on, everybody. Hard hats on. You know, it's
the terms and conditions scene, but it'd be terrible.
Yeah, you will not sue if a droid falls on your head. Why is this in my contract? Just nothing. Just sign it. It'll be absolutely fine. Although to be fair, if we're going to talk about Tamora Morrison coming back and doing something, here's my biggest bugbear with Episode 3. It's the final shot where you have them on the Star Destroyer, on the vertical Star Destroyer, and all the crew are regular people. They're different people for all the positions. I'm sorry, but they had clone troopers still. The clone army still then. It's just the end of Episode 3. Don't immediately go, cool. The clone army is decommissioned at the end. No, they were phased out over a period of years. All you'd have to do is just shoot Tamora Morrison a bunch of poses and put his head, superimpose it onto these people's bodies, or just reshoot it and kind of superimpose it here instead. Because when you watch it, yes, okay, Tarkin is Tarkin. Tarkin takes you out of it because it's just.
Can you CGI him out, or just bring back?
Go ahead.
Yeah, can you just do one of them? Like,
yes,
it's so creepy that has anyone ever seen the visual dictionary for?
Yes, yeah.
They do like makeup. Tarkin is maybe the most terrifying character in Star Wars history.
What?
Yeah, he's nightmare fuel.
He is. He is
like a Night Sister.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Though that scene though, with them all just they're just regular people. Whereas, just again, if you're gonna really look into it now, in the Clone Wars, when you have the Siege of Mandalore, Order 66, which has only happened not that long ago, it's literally days. Entire clone crew on the bridge of the Venator, and now you jump into another Venator, but with human crew. It makes
Yeah,
It just-
it's a
it
bit
just
weird,
doesn't
isn't
make
it?
sense.
I've
Yeah.
only got like 3 more things. One I'm going to do quickly because it's a kind of boring, obvious one. The Mon Mothma deleted scene.
Ah, boring. God.
Boring.
It's I kind of want to find a way to put Genevieve O'Reilly in because now she's like, oh, she's in Rogue One. Oh, she's going to be in
Yeah.
Cassian. And it's kind of like I was watching it like, oh yeah, this would be good. And then it starts the other characters' dialogue. I'm like,
Yeah.
can we do something
Yeah.
where like, she can just appear somehow? I think that's maybe a bit on the extreme, but yeah.
Well, it's just like the what was it? The Bail Organa scene for episode 2. It's just funny to watch. It's completely wrong,
because
but it's just funny to watch.
Another one, which one of my Qui-Gon Jinn to me is one of the greatest Jedi who've ever lived. He's in my top 3. Him, Kenobi, and I've forgotten the third one. I always say Luke. Of course, it's Luke. They're like
Who's
my
that?
top Jedi.
Just some dude turned up.
Okay.
I
Should I look him up on Wikipedia or something?
Nah, not worth it.
You might find him. There's a page or
No,
two
well,
about him.
there'll be loads of angry people
Yeah.
saying you ruined my childhood. And
Oh,
they'll
is
be
that guy?
misquoting
George
Mark
Lucas.
There's a video called Mark Hamill Hates Last Jedi. I don't know if it's intentionally edited that bad, but they just cut loads of random like words together, so it's the most ridiculous, pathetic, out of context thing I've ever seen.
Smithers, you're quite good at turning me on.
Just ignore that. Yep.
It's that.
Yeah.
So if you guys know that, so Liam Neeson was going to come back to do a cameo, and he had a big motorbike crash, which is why they never did it. Which is why I'm as surprised as Kenobi, where he's like Qui-Gon, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can bring back Liam Neeson himself because he has aged a bit, and he's an interesting guy. 'Cause I think he does like Star Wars. I think he cares for the projects he picks to a point of view.
Yeah.
Like Dark Knight, he came back in Rises for a little cameo. He's done Clone Wars. He's done Rise of Skywalker. Like, I think he does have this connection to the franchise where even if it was audio, just when Yoda's meditating, like I would just love a bit of Liam Neeson. That arc in Clone Wars, the one where Yoda goes Dagobah, I've only seen the arc.
Yeah.
I still don't know how I feel about the arc. I loved what it did with the mythology, but some of it was not my complete cup of tea. But I loved that sort of ambiguity. George Lucas, let's dive into the mystical things. I would love a bit of Qui-Gon in episode 3. He doesn't need to see Kenobi. Maybe we'll get him in Kenobi. Who knows? But let's fulfill. And if anyone's not seen it, there's a horrible deleted scene on the episode 3 where they have someone doing the Qui-Gon dialogue, but obviously it's not Liam Neeson, and it sounds like a cross between the Google voice with the deepest voice you can think of. It's horrible. But if you can do something, change up the dialogue, just get Liam Neeson in, because Qui-Gon is an absolute legend. I love him so much.
I'd agree with you on that, man. Like, there's something about when you know when you introduce an idea and then you pay it off later, right? Like, sometimes you need some repetition for the payoff to be worth something. It's, you don't hear anything about Qui-Gon. It's like, yep, cool. So Qui-Gon, he's dead. I think he gets name dropped in episode 2, and that's it. And then just it's this drop in like throwaway line. Like if there was one little hint of him being around, then it makes Yoda's line feel a little bit more impactful.
Yeah, agreed.
He just feels so important, Qui-Gon. Especially, I don't know if everyone must have watched the Gallery episode 2 on Disney Plus by now.
I haven't yet, but I will do. Yeah.
Oh my word, Phil! You honestly, every Star Wars fan should watch the last 8 minutes of Gallery episode 2.
We will. There's no ifs, no buts.
Oh no, just randomly, anybody who's hearing this, just if you haven't, find it online. Go somewhere. It is. My jaw just was open while he was talking, from the Duel of Fates right through to Jedi, and the importance of Qui-Gon to the story. And that's great that Dave Filoni has this, and obviously he's probably got a lot of that from George as well. For us not to get that carried over in the movies is a glaring error for me. And you're right, absolutely, that scene should be there with him, because you need that landing of the setup for it all. For them to just go, yeah, you can commune with that. Remember him. We talked about him a while ago, but he died, and then we stopped mentioning him. But he's massively important. Yeah, just him. You can talk to him now in the Force, and it's just you need that extra bit. You absolutely, it's an essential scene for me, and I'm
Agreed.
when you
It
watch.
wouldn't take a huge amount. If it's audio only, it wouldn't matter what a is in real life because it's just audio. It's like when they brought back James Earl Jones for Vader. Yeah, okay, you can tell he's a little older, but at the same time, it's just audio. And that scene in Rogue One where you have him and Krennic is just, I absolutely love it. And again, it's just a voice, so you can have him. Doesn't matter where he is in the world. Doesn't matter what he's doing. Just take you 15, 20 minutes to
Get in your closet.
Yeah. It's what it is. A couple lines here and there can just add so much depth to it. Which is why I was talking about the Shakti scene, because again, you put that in, it pays off so much when it comes to Clone Wars and things. And going to the Clone Wars, the one thing I personally would add, I at least would love to see added, would have been to finally realize Order 66. Yes, it was kind of good what we had, but the deleted extended animatics was just
no.
I love it.
It's got what's her name? Luminara's kid. That
Barra Sophie. You'd have to take that out. You'd have to take out Barra Sophie because of Clone Wars, yes. But you can leave Luminara and Dooley in it because, of course, she's on Kashyyyk on with Yoda.
I don't know, man. Like, I love Order 66 is one of the greatest like complete montages in cinema. Like the music, I wouldn't change anything because I really didn't like the animatics. Like, obviously it's animatic, but the changes they decided to make rather than have Order 66 commissioned and then they kill Yoda 5 minutes after. I would disagree just because Order 66 is to me like perfect, and I love that we're getting it in these different medias. You know, you had the comics of Kanan, you had it, the amazing Jedi Fallen Order, high five the Clone Trooper because you know it's coming.
Oh god, yeah.
There's obviously the Ahsoka one, which is brought like full goosebumps. That the music when it kicked in, oh my word. But Order 66, I'm gonna ask them to keep it as it is.
Yeah.
So I've got one final change. Someone mentioned James Earl Jones. That was a better time than to bring it up.
No.
It's got to go. It's got to go. Now that's like
delete all Vader's nose. Done.
This
just
is
done.
If you delete the no, he's just randomly shaking and praising to the skies, and it just looks ridiculous. You know,
I have seen the dark side of the Force. Praise it all.
I was kind of like, okay, it's like, what could we do? And then the Clone Wars finale happened, and I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but I am.
So spoiler alert before George says anything.
Gets down on one knee to propose to his fallen soldier troopers. It's just a moment of going down on one knee. You can feel the emotion without no words, no dialogue, even like one bit of breathing. And you know, could they refilm something? What I would do, I think, you've had Spencer Warding or whichever. There was two people that did it across Rogue One. I think one scenes were cut, the other did the corridor scene. Get one of them guys in. Get the costume in. Get a shiny helmet because it's very shiny. Revenge of the Sith, not sort of out of color like Episode 4. If you could just have the moment and switch a bit of the editing where you could have him ripping out the chains, stepping forward, but if he just dropped to one knee, and then then you get the droids popping and exploding and stuff. It could be like just bit of reverse editing with a knee drop. I think that could just be as powerful. You don't need to say anything.
Same for Return of the Jedi. Cut those nose out of it. Give me a re-specialized version. Take the nose out. We don't need it in Episode 3 either.
You're a monster, Phil. More nose. More nose. All the nose.
No nose.
No. I think that's a good point, George. And sorry, like
no, go for it, Matt. Go.
Cat is jumping on me. There's a bit that they would have to be very careful with that has to stay in, and it's when it cuts, Vader's losing it, and then it cuts, and you just sort of see Palpatine there, like off to the side a bit. Like if they were to do anything different in that, that's got to stay.
Yeah,
that bit has got to stay. It's too good. It's too good as it is.
I think
I would cut. The only bit I would cut is I'd keep that, but the only bit I don't see that he has to come off the table he's attached to. I really don't see the need when he asks where Padme is, and the Emperor says, "In your anger, you killed her." you could then just have him starting to go off and things starting to break and cut to that smile of the Emperor just standing saying, "Oh, I got what I wanted," or so he thinks. But and I think the scene could cut there. I think that's the point. I don't think we need the no is awful. It's just, and to be honest, you probably leave the no in if you wanted to, but it just needs to be pulled back to it's just such over dramatic that I don't think Anakin would have even had in him.
No.
No.
Cut the nose.
Oh no.
Oh, what? Oh, you're kidding.
Where is Padme? In your anger, you killed her. Oh.
Not again. Obi-Wan's going to kill me.
That would be a perfect way to end.
So many memes that no one's done. Like, you have Anakin turns to Vader. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? There's so much untapped like video memes that people haven't jumped onto. They've only been around for 15 years, but yeah, I don't. The nose in Return of the Jedi is a different video for me because that's like the saddest I've ever been about a change, except the Obi-Wan screaming noise in 4, which sounds like the best YouTube comment I've ever seen in my life. Sounds like he got his penis trapped in a door as it closed. I've never been able to.
At the end, he starts liking it a bit. It's like it really hurts, and then it's like ooh.
I've never been able to unthink of that comment because that comment was there before the Blu-ray released. Like it was already there. Yeah. But yeah, like I don't think the changes have been too bad. I'm going to read out a couple of comments quickly because Matt Thurman, I would like to add back all of the Rick Ollie cutscenes. Rick Ollie from Phantom Menace. So I did a Phantom Menace drink along last week, which was really good fun. One of the rules I came up with, I've regretted, was drink every time Rick Ollie explains gives a commentary of what's happening out loud. Yep. And oh my word,
every Rick Ollie scene.
Yeah, like there's like 8 lines, and then you get like another one at Coruscant, and I'm just there like there is a deleted scene of Rick Ollie, like which pilot did it, and then Anakin just appears. You're like, even B-roll footage would do. Henok, we would have to be fun to see a special edition of Rogue One. I think that's the original Gareth Edwards cut.
Yes,
I love Rogue One. I love what we got, but at the same time, one day I would be so intrigued. I mean, the trailers, man. You had Krennic walking across the pond, who's one of the greatest Star Wars characters ever made. I think Ben Mendelsohn said in an interview, like he originally flies up to space and then Darth Vader kills him. You had the TIE fighter in Jim. That I love what we got with Rogue One, but I would be so intrigued just to see or read the original script. Not that I want it, but just the curiosity aspect of that.
The whole trailer for Rogue One was pretty much a lie. Everything that's in that trailer is not in the movie. Like the whole thing, like, oh, we see none of this. Okay.
The best thing is it's because they said it was too dark, too violent, and it's not like we hated it. It's we just cannot show this. And again, that's curiosity can get the better of you. So yeah, I quite like that. One day. I don't think we will, but Gareth Edwards is on really good terms with Lucasfilms. I know people are quick to jump in. Oh, they suck everyone. Like Gareth Edwards I think films his stuff and is like, if you want to change it, that's fine. He still did all the press, he did everything. Yep. All the credits are still there. He's got a good relationship.
Still goes to events.
Yeah, like I'm very lucky. Like his hometown's like 30 minutes from mine, and he did a massive charity event a couple of years ago. They did a Rogue One screening and a Q&A after, and he was pissed. Like he was like swearing. He was like, wow, like he's really off the chain here, like talking Star Wars things, and he's such a cool guy. But I'm very intrigued one day because he's got a very good relationship with Lucasfilm and going off and
got a good relationship with the Wookiees then.
I would love him to come back and do something Star Wars. But and of course, but B-roll footage I'm curious too. That is for Rick Ollie. I love B-roll. There's so much B-roll footage. We got a whole Rogue One Gold Squadron thing from it. So that's everything I've got to say though on a special edition prequel.
It's a really tough. Like when we're covering episode 3, by the time you get there, it seems that it almost kind of perfected what they wanted to do with the prequels. Yeah. So this one got much harder. From where you got episode 1, you had quite a bit where you think, I could cut that, could come out, that could come out, that needs to change. But yeah, you're right. By the time you get to episode 3, you're kind of like, you know what? I've again watched this last night in preparation for this, and it's just like, it's not a bad movie at all. It's some pacing things here and there, but other than that, the film really, really works for me still at this point.
Same.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
and also I must admit now, especially for me, I don't know how you guys have felt. I don't know if you've watched episode 3 since. I think you two guys have watched episode. Watching the end of Clone Wars, because now, of course, you have the added extra of the impacts of Siege of Mandalore, and that film now for me just feels complete.
I've not seen it. I'll tell you what I've read online. Someone messaged me the other day saying that there's a 4-hour cut someone's made where they've got Siege of Mandalore plus Revenge of the Sith, and I think one of my friends mentioned they may have added in the Windu Grievous scene from the original Clone Wars when he kidnapped Palpatine.
Okay.
Curiosity makes me kind of want to watch it, but I don't know how much I struggle going from not just animation to live action, but to then the 2D original animation. But I'm very curious to see how this all comes along over the next few months.
Yeah. It's one of those things for me. I personally feel the film is now more complete than it was before.
Clone Wars really helps the entirety of the prequel trilogy. I mean, we did a video on it before we got the sort of last series of Clone Wars. But in hindsight, with that, it made even episode 2, which has always been my least favorite Star Wars movie, is elevated because I know Clone Wars so well. So I think it really helps with just the world building around it and makes it seem much fuller than we have in the actual movie. And I actually watched Attack of the Clones again just last night, and it felt like a better movie because of what I know around it. So
Agreed.
Hey, if that's going to help me get through episode 2 more and more, that's fine with me as well. But yeah, I think special editions would be great. There are things, but for me, it's mostly little cuts here and there. It's not massive additions, but yeah, it's something that I would still love to see. Just clean everything up, make the CGI where it needs to be. The backgrounds on most shots, like you say, don't look like they should. They look like they've been shot with me pressing a button and a green screen comes up behind me. That's the kind of level it seems to be at. But yeah, so I would love to see it. I'd love to see them do changes like that. But whether we get that, maybe it's a pipe dream, but I would love it.
Indeed. Yeah. I think that's about it, guys. Anything else to add?
Absolutely.
Matt, thank you for joining us. Can you please let everybody know where we can find you? If you don't already follow them, Blue Bantha Milk, if you want to go over the link, I should have put them in as a banner, shouldn't I? That's my bad.
Oh, that's fine, mate. That's fine. You can type it as we go. I'll wait. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so you just jump on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find us. Just search Blue Bantha Milk Co. And on Twitter, it's at Blue Bantha Milk. Facebook as well, Blue Bantha Milk Co. We've got a page, we've got a group, we've got all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the normal things. You just search our name and we're there. We've had enough views now that you can find us by name. We don't just sort of like show up in this weird down the list thing. It only took 2 years, but we have a name now. Yay. And thanks for having me on, guys. Like, I really appreciate it. And it's been nice meeting you guys as well. Well, I mean, I already knew George.
Pleasure.
You know, yeah, maybe the other two of you. Yeah.
No,
Thank you.
It's good fun. It was nice to have you on because I know you're into the prequels, and I love your no trolling. You're not no trolling policy, but you're well exposed the morons in the comments.
Yeah.
Anyone's not seen them on Netflix, check them out because I think I've seen you reading off quotes of people giving abuse about like some of the sequel trilogy, and it's just amazing to listen to it because they're just ridiculous. And everyone.
Was that like 2 streams ago or something like that?
Yeah.
A couple of streams ago? Yeah, like because we don't do it. We don't go into our held for review and really. Well, I don't pay any attention to them anyway. But like Sean sees them every now and then, and he goes, "Hey, there's one in there," and I'll go read it, and it's like this essay. Someone telling me it's like, the real problem with your channel is that you don't focus on the interconnected nature of the ship technology and how hyperdrives work. And your channel would maybe be good if you would just focus on hyperdrives. And I'm not kidding. I got lectured by a dude telling me that I should focus more on ship technology. And it's like, dude, that's like not even close to anything that we talk about. Like, that's Eckhart's ladder, isn't it? Like, just go. There's plenty of that.
I mean, I like to go in depth with Star Wars. I like to go in as much as I can with the books and comics. But even I'm not going to the depths of ship technology and hyperdrives and all that. No, that's beyond me. I like to go in depth, but not that in depth.
seriously, get one of those lightsaber chopsticks and just stab me in the ear holes and eyes. Like if that's what we have to do to get views on YouTube, I don't want to have do it anymore. I don't know. Break my computer. That sounds like such. Sorry if anyone's really into that, but I can't imagine anything more boring. Oh god.
The fun thing is,
Yeah. Sorry if I've just pissed off your fans that like that.
It's okay. I think
There's not many of them. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
the thing,
Go to our YouTube channel, leave us a bad comment, and I'll never read it.
we met at Celebration. We had a very good time there. We had the photo shoots, which I think I've told you about the story where I fatally wore a varsity jacket during a panel. Came out absolutely diabolically covered in sweat, so I had to keep it the entire day, so no one ever had to smell or see anything, and that was one of the most painful convention days of my life, because the panel was 9 a.m. It got to 10 a.m. I was like, oh my word, what have I done? There's like photos everywhere. Like there's one of me on a speeder bike and I'm wearing this jacket, and I'm like, why the hell am I wearing a jacket? That's what people are probably why is he wearing a jacket in a hot convention hall? And
I remember that. That was hilarious. That was so funny.
One of the best showers I've ever had was the moment I got back to the room after. Yeah. But no, I hope to see you at the next one. Hopefully next year. It should be next year. Definitely not August this year. But the world will
hurry up. Yeah. Like, I don't know about if you get our news and whatnot, but it's not looking like we'll be let out of the country this year. Like they might let us go trans-Tasman. Like we might be able to go to New Zealand, maybe, and we might have like a little exclusivity thing. It's like Australia, New Zealand travel only. Like, but yeah,
no one else is going anywhere till after the new year. Nobody.
I've got a stag do I'm supposed to be on in August for a mate of mine. Krakow. I just don't think that's going to go ahead either.
Without like ending on a downer, like if you don't know how bad it's got here, our country's only just decided to quarantine people flying into England.
What?
Yep.
Only now?
Only taken this long and that many deaths. Yeah.
So
that's something.
I know, mate. Honestly, I know this isn't the time for it, but there's going to be an amazing sitcom written about this in 20 years when we're allowed to make comments.
Yeah, when we're all over it.
Yeah,
my God.
I know. But we're
that's nuts.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yes, really indeed. On that bombshell, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Guys, don't forget to go and find Blue Bantha Co. You can find them on YouTube, of course, on their Facebook as well, Twitter, and all the rest of the usual places as well. That's all I have to say is thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at One's the Force of Star Wars Podcast, at the Force Podcast. The video for this will be available later on our Facebook and YouTube pages, and of course, the audio version will be up later on our Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and iTunes, and our TeePublic stores in the link down below. So until next time, we've been One's the Force, may the Force be with you. Good night.